Hello and welcome to Learn with Ryan. Today what we're going to do is we're going to look at short division. So dividing 2-digit number by a 1-digit number. Now division, just like multiplication, is one of those topics that's absolutely essential in maths. Any problem, any maths problem will involve some sort of multiplication or division. So it's one of those skills that we absolutely must nail. So let's have a look at our first example. So we're going to start off with simple examples, and then as the video progresses we'll have a look at some more and more complicated examples. So let's have a look at this one here, 675 divided by 5. Now I'm going to set the division up like this. Now often when we're teaching division, teachers often call this method the bus stop method. Now this is what we call our bus stop because it looks like a bus shelter. And in that bus shelter, what I'm going to put is 675. And then outside is going to be my 5. Now it's very important to know which way round you put your numbers. What you divide by needs to go outside the bus stop. So because we're dividing by 5, the 5 needs to go outside. So it's 675 divided by 5. Next, what we can do is we ask ourselves, how many 5s go into 6? Now this is where you need to know your times tables. So you need to know your 5 times table in this case. So if I just list the first few numbers in the 5 times table, what I'm going to get is 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 and so on. So if I want to find out how many 5s go into 6, I just look at my 5 times table. Now there's 1 5 in 5 and 2 5s in 10. And 6 is here between 5 and 10, isn't it? Now 10 is too many, so I need to stop here. So in actual fact, there is 1 whole 5 in 6. So I'm going to write 1 there. But then I don't want 5, I want 6. So there's going to be a number left over. And it's actually 1 that's left over. And that's what we call the remainder. Because what we've got at the moment is 1 5 in 5, but we don't want 5, we want 6. So there's 1 left over. So that remainder of 1 I'm going to put here above the 7. Next, what I've got is how many 5s in 17. So again, what I do is I have a look at my 5 times table. So that's 1 5 in 5, 2 5s in 10, 3 5s in 15, 4 5s in 20, but that's too many. So we stop at 15. So that's going to be 3 5s in 15, but then there's 2 left over to get to 17. So the remainder of 2 I'm going to put here above the 5, and then it's how many 5s in 25. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Aha, we've got 25 here. So we have 5 whole 5s in 25 with nothing left over. So we stop there, and my answer is 135. Here's another question to have a go at. 825 divided by 3. So again, what we do is we set out our bus stop. Okay. So inside we have 825. And what we divide by, the 3, needs to go outside. So what we need to do now, if you need to practice your times tables, and that's absolutely fine, let's just write them down the side. So we need to list our 3 times table. Okay, so now that we've listed our 3 times table, let's have a go at it. So how many 3s in 8? Well, we've got 1 3 in 3, 2 3s in 6, 3 3s in 9, but that's too many. So we stop at 6, so that's 2 whole 3s in 6, with 2 left over to get to 8. So the 2, I'm going to put above that 2 there. And then we ask ourselves, how many 3s in 22? This is where I might need to add a few more numbers. So we've got 18, 21, 24. Okay, so we want 22. So if you count, you'll find you have 7 whole 3s in 21, 8 whole 3s in 24. Too many, so we stop at 7. So 7 3s in 21, but we don't want 21, we want 22. So there's 1 left over. That 1 I'm going to put here above the 5. How many 3s in 15? Well, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with no remainder. So the answer is 275. Okay, let's have a look at this one. We've got 953 divided by 2. So again, we're going to set out our bus stop. So 953 goes inside and the 2 goes outside. If it helps, you can list the 2 times table. If you think you're quite good at this, you don't have to list the 2 times table, but sometimes for some people it might help listing the times table. So let's do that. So you have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. Okay, so we ask ourselves how many 2s in 9 and what's the remainder? Well, we've got 1 2 in 2, 2 2s in 4, 3 2s in 6, 4 2s in 8, 5 2s in 10, that's too many. So we stop at 4 and we have 1 left over to get to 9. So I'm going to put the remainder 1 there above the 5. And then we ask ourselves how many 2s in 15. Well, let's count. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 is too many because that's 16. So we'll stop at 7. And then there's 1 left over to go from 14 to 15. And then how many 2s in 13? So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's too many, so we stop at 6. And there's 1 left over. Now you're probably thinking, what on earth happens to that 1? Well, what we need to do is, because we've reached the end of the number here, we need to add a decimal point. And the next thing to do with that remainder 1, we put the 1 up here, and this is blank at the minute, but we need to fill it with something. So I'm going to fill it with a 0, and then it becomes 10. So then how many 2s in 10? Well, the answer to that is 5, of course. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, with no remainder. So my 5's going here, so the answer is 476.5. Okay, here is another one. 267 divided by 8. So again, what I'm going to do is draw up my bus stop. Inside, I've got 267. Outside, I have got 8. Let's list the 8 times table to help us. Okay, now that I've listed my 8 times table, let's have a go at it. So we ask ourselves, how many 8s in 2? Well, there are no 8s in 2. So what we need to do is we need to move on to the next bit. Okay, how many 8s in 26? So let's count. We've got 1, 2, 3. 4's too many, so we stop at 3 8s, which is 24. So that's 3 whole 8s in 26. But 2 left over to get from 24 to 26. So the 2 I'm going to put above the 7, so it becomes 27. And then it's how many 8s in 27? Well, let's count. We've got 1, 2, 3. 4's too many, so we stop at 3 8s. So again, it's another 3 there. And then what's the remainder? Well, at the moment we've got 24. We want 27, so the remainder is 3. Now, because we've reached the end of that number, what am I going to add here? That's right, we add a point. And it's a remainder of 3, remember, so I'm going to add 3 there. And don't forget to add a 0 to fill in that gap. So then it's how many 8s in 30? Well, let's count. We've got 1, 2, 3. That's too many, so we stop at 3 for 24. So it's another 3. Okay, so what's the remainder going to be? Well, we've got 24 at the minute, we want 30. So the remainder is going to be 6. So I'm going to add a 6 there and add a 0. And then we ask ourselves, how many 8s in 60? Well, let's count. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 is too many, that's 64. So we stop at 7. And what's the remainder? Well, to go from 56 to 60, the remainder is going to be 4. So that's 4, add a 0. And then how many 8s in 40? Well, that's going to be 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with no remainder. So the answer is 33.375. Okay, let's have a look at one more example. 2 divided by 3. So again, I'm going to set up my bus stop. Now just be very careful, remember what I said, what you divide by needs to go outside this bus stop. So we're dividing by 3, so the 3 goes outside and it's the 2 that goes inside. Let's list the 3 times table. Okay, so we ask ourselves how many 3s in 2? Well, the answer is 0. There are no 3s in 2. So what we need to do at this point is, because we've already reached the end of that number, this is where we put the point. And because there's nothing there, we need to fill that in with something. So it becomes 20. How many 3s in 20? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7's too many, so we stop at 6. And what's the remainder? Well, at the moment we've got 18. We need 2 more to get to 20. So we add a 2 and add another 0. Again, how many 3s in 20? Well, it's exactly the same, isn't it? It's 6, remainder 2. Add a 0. How many 3s in 20? Well, it's exactly the same. 6, remainder 2. So you'll notice that it's going to continue like that forever and ever and ever. So we're actually going to get an infinite number of 6s, because we're always going to get that 6 remainder 2. So often in questions, you would have to use your judgment as to what to round it to. If you're dealing with money, for example, then it's very important that you round your answer to 2 decimal places, in which case it would be 0.67. In a separate video in the future, I will make a video on rounding decimals. If you're not dealing with money and it doesn't say how many decimal places to round the number to, then you can just round it to 1 or 2 decimal places. It's entirely up to you. And that's it for today. I hope you've enjoyed today's lesson on short division. Before I go, here is a question for you to have a go at. Can you calculate 297 divided by 6? That's 297 divided by 6. Feel free to type your answers in the comment section below, and if you can also comment on how you found the video. Was it helpful? And what could be improved perhaps? And also if you could like and subscribe. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video when we have a look at long division, dividing a 3-digit number by a 2-digit number. So I shall see you then. See you soon. Bye bye.